Well, Mike, thanks for joining us. We are very excited to have you here. Before we begin, how you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm delightful. It's really, feel very lucky and blessed to have you on the show. Had a lot of viewers asking about you. If you don't know Mike, Mike is the owner of OnTheRegimen.com, tremendous website, phenomenal coach. We actually run the online fitness business mentorship together. And today, for this segment of Shut Your Mouth, What's Your Point? Mike and I are going to be discussing... Rico, what are we discussing?
Cheat meals?
Cheat meals, actually cheat days, I apologize. We're also discussing self-love. And finally, we're going to be finishing off with a discussion of sustained motivation, long-term motivation. Now, just for some brief rules in case you forget, or Michael, in case you haven't watched the show ever, which why would you? I don't know.
I have.
That's actually very surprising, quite the compliment. The rules go like this. We have 3 topics, 2 minutes each, and Mike and I both get 1 minute each to discuss every topic. We're going to begin with cheat days. Michael, 60 seconds on the clock. Rico's putting the time up for us right now. Why don't you give us your thoughts on cheat days in 3, 2, 1, go.
All right. So first, you look fantastic.
Oh, thank you.
I am not a huge fan of cheat days for my coaching clients. I'm going to start by saying that, and also that everything works. Like, I've seen people make amazing progress implementing cheat days. I've seen people struggle with, usually with emotional issues related to food when incorporating cheat days. Purely on a physiological level, having higher calorie days within a fat loss window doesn't actually improve the amount of fat you lose. What it can do is improve adherence. It can make the diet more bearable, right? Like, if you're in a 16-week period, having some days where you're eating more calories is going to help you get through that time frame. But what I would rather do is let those days come up naturally. Let it happen when it's like a family barbecue. Let it happen when you're doing something, rather than picking a specific day to just pig out and make it all about food.
I love it. That was fantastic. I agree with everything that you said. For me, I have no issues with cheat days from the perspective of having higher calorie days. It's never been an issue for me. And like Mike said, I think that they can be very important from the being able to maintain or sustain your calorie deficit or fat loss over the long term. The issue that I tend to have with cheat days is the inherent notion within the term cheat day that you're doing something wrong, that you're doing something that isn't allowed. And I think this is very important because a lot of people hear cheat day, and consciously or not, they associate what they're doing with something bad or something wrong. And the more we can separate this idea of good or bad, or this inherent morality to foods or to a certain diet, the more we can disassociate ourselves from that, the better relationship we can have with food, the better relationship we can have with dieting overall, and the less we can separate things as good or bad, and more just understand that different things work for different people, and that's okay. All right, Mike, thoughts on self-love?
Again, I think it's contextual. I think a lot of people probably need to like themselves more, because being hard on yourself, judging yourself super aggressively is going to lead to a lack of future action. On the other side of the coin, for me personally, when I have not loved myself, or when I have been like disappointed in something I was doing, or like felt badly about something I was doing, that was actually an indication that I needed to be doing something differently. So rather than like the diet example is like if I was eating very unhealthy, like dirty foods, and I felt worse as a result, like body composition aside, but I felt worse, eating more micronutrient dense foods so that I felt better was an adjustment I made so that I actually felt better, rather than just rationalize to myself that like eating unclean, or like, I'm over my time limit, but eating foods that weren't healthy consistently was okay.
You know, I think self-love is a really important topic, and the main issue that I have with the way that I see it mainstream is people saying, just love yourself more. Just love yourself. And I get really upset. Like, if it was that easy, we'd all love ourselves. We'd all be super happy. It's like, I think when you say just on Instagram or someone, you just need to love yourself more, you're trivializing it, and you're doing more harm than good, because it takes more than just saying it to actually believe it. And I think where Mike and I really agree is that a lot of times self-love will come from taking action and doing the things that are difficult and having certain goals that you go out of your way to achieve and attain. And I think a lot of people will look at someone trying to achieve a goal and say, oh, well, you're trying to do that because you don't love yourself. It's like, no, maybe I'm trying to do this because I already love myself, but I know I'll love myself more once I maintain something greater than what I am right now. You know? So, Mike, final topic. What are your thoughts around sustained or maintained long-term motivation?
I'm going to talk about one specific sliver of that because
60 seconds.
60 seconds. What's helped me the most historically is not isolating myself. And I mean physically isolating myself, because as someone who works for myself, and I have a couple in-person coaching clients, but my business is largely online, I can spend too much time alone, which I've just seen as a result is not good. So intentionally formulating my life so that I'm spending time not only around people, but around specific people where it's a mutually beneficial relationship, we have shared values, and we hold each other accountable to what we want to be doing individually in our lives. That is something that has helped me move towards the person I want to be over time.
I couldn't agree more. It's interesting for me because this idea of sustained or maintained long-term motivation, it's almost like two different terms. We always hear there's motivation, which is short-term, and then discipline, which is long-term. And I agree with that on many levels, but I also think that short bursts of motivation over time, like it's not either motivation or discipline. It can be a little bit of both. And I think that having short bursts of motivation can help fuel long-term discipline. And I know for me, Mike and I live about 2.5 minutes walking distance apart. It's not a surprise that he's here. And one of the reasons that I've been so productive is because I know that several nights a week I'll be working with Mike. We get a lot done. We motivate each other more. We could stay in different houses. We could stay in different places. But by having you here and by deliberately getting together, we have these short bursts of motivation which then fuel longer term discipline. And it really just highlights the importance of having a community. So that's our 60 seconds. I do want to continue on that